Coming up, a review of the book The British Makeover of India, Judicial and Other Indigenous Institutions Upturned, written by Dr. Meenakshi Jain. Namaste friends, my name is Shri Subramanian Payamal and you are listening to the Histology podcast. Before I proceed, a full disclosure. This book was bought with my own money and not been provided to me by the author or publisher. Little bit about the author. Dr. Meenakshi Jain is a historian interested in cultural and religious developments in Indian history. In 2020, she was awarded Padma Shri by the Government of India for her contributions in the field of literature and education. Her recent publications include Vishwanath Rises and Rises, The Story of Eternal Kashi, The Hindus of Hindustan, Vasudeva Krishna and Mathura, Flight of Deities and Rebirth of Temples, The Battle for Rama, Case of the Temple at Ayodhya, Sati, Evangelicals, Baptist Missionaries and the Changing Colonial Discourse, and Rama and Ayodhya. Let me read a brief description of the book from the inside flap of the book. Quote, early officials of the East India Company were surprised to discover that indigenous institutions of judicial redress had survived in a surprisingly good state during the centuries of Tartar rule. They noted that those institutions had largely remained beyond the purview of the medieval state and had well served the needs of the populace. Subsequently, company men observed the functioning of indigenous judicial institutions in the areas under their control and cautioned against any transplantation from Britain. The 18th century reverence for indigenous institutions were overturned in the mid-19th century when a marked change in the British attitude became perceptible. The earlier appreciation gave way to censure. The transformation could be attributed to mounting self-confidence following a series of military successes in India and triumph over Napoleonic France in 1815. Among other factors that turned the tide against India was the advent of the scientific revolution. As a result, a racist element entered the British perception of India. A view gained currency that human progress was closely linked to the biological traits of people. The shape of the skull determined the size of the brain, and hence the degree of human intelligence. Charles Darwin's Origin of Species was used to justify Europe's triumph in Africa and Asia. It was the natural dominance of superior white men over inferior races. As the notion of race increasingly gained currency, there was a noticeable decline in the admiration for Indian culture. India began to be seen as a land of the past that needed to be reformed. The policy of non-interference with Indian traditions, a British byword in the 18th century, was abandoned in favor of change through the initiation of British institutions and values. Unquote. Some of the things I really liked in this excellent book are: first, Warren Hastings, the first Governor General of India, attributed Europe's triumph over non-Europeans not to the superiority of Christianity but to secular reasons like a free government, cold climate and printing and navigation. Christianity, he argued, did not make people better. Second, on 16th August 1765, the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam granted the company the lucrative Diwani of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Diwani entailed the right to land revenue collection in addition to judicial responsibilities. The significance of Diwani could be gauged from the fact that after 1765, the revenues of Bengal alone comprised almost 1/4 of public revenues of Britain as a whole. Third, several features of the criminal justice system were discriminatory to non-Muslims. For instance, restrictions were placed on the acceptance of statements of slaves, women and non-Muslims. Non-Muslims also needed the testimony of 2 witnesses to substantiate their case. Further, the next of kin of a murdered person could pardon a murderer unconditionally or after receiving pecuniary compensation. Punishments like mutilation and impalement also constituted part of the system. Fourth, Jonathan Duncan found Hindus troubled under a criminal law that was not their own. Though the majority, they had to suffer from the defects of a law not solely their own and ill-adapted to their habits and imposed on them solely by the power of the sword. No Muslim could be capitally convicted on the evidence of a Hindu. Fifth, Warren Hastings had exposed the exclusion of Indians from higher posts. However, the determination of directors of the East India Company and British ministers to find opportunities for their relatives and friends in India ensured his suggestion was not implemented. Sixth, Mount Stuart Elphinstone on reasons why strict European supervision was necessary. Quote, at the same time, I think very strict supervision is requisite and many Europeans necessary for the purpose. If this be not attended to, the natives will introduce their old corrupt practices into the system at the first outset and we shall never be able to eradicate them. No situation of political or military power should for a very long time be entrusted to a native. Unquote. Seventh, Elphinstone on how education would enable the progress of Christianity. Quote, the result of educating natives both in English and in their own language must be favorable to the progress of Christianity. Indeed, education seems to me the only means by which there is any chance of favoring its progress. Direct attempts at conversion, while the native superstitions are still impaired, would I conceive excite a spirit of controversy and opposition, if it did not lead to more serious results. Unquote. 8th. Appearing before the Select Committee of Parliament on 25th April 1831, James Mill claimed that the people of India were only concerned that the work of government was well and cheaply performed. It did not matter to them who were the people who performed it. 9th. John Beams observed that darogas knew all criminals and suspicious characters and could seize them, when required, in return for a share of the robberies. In certain cases, if a magistrate insisted that a particular dacoity be solved, the daroga would summon the leader and inform him a few younger members of the gang would be detained and some of the stolen items shown as recovered. After a while, the arrested men would be let off. 10th. Company administrators were also deeply perturbed by the rise of the English language educated Indian. Conclusion. The book has 19 chapters and is just under 275 pages, which excludes 8 beautiful color plates, and it is very easy to read and extensively referenced. And the good news is that there is a second installment of this book which deals with the early East India Company officials' evaluations of the indigenous education apparatus. I give this book 4.75 out of 5. The printed price of the book is Rs 995 but is available for around 750 excluding shipping on Amazon India. And the book is currently out of stock on Amazon USA. But I highly recommend that you buy the book from the publisher website, that is arinbooks.com, where it is available for only Rs 695 with free shipping anywhere in India. At the time of recording this review, the book is not available in Kindle or Audible format. I have given the respective buy links in the show notes. Please check them out for the latest prices. Last but not the least, thank you for spending a valuable time listening to this book review. Really grateful. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Histology podcast on your favorite podcasting app, and also feel free to leave a review. Also, please check histology.com for all previous episodes. Thanks and looking forward to hearing from you. Take care and bye.